Hello, I'm ABXToyCat, and this is Q&A Saturday, the weekly series where I answer your questions that have been asked over the past week or so across my channel. These tend to be mostly based around the next Minecraft update, which we're currently calling the Update Aquatic. It's coming out for all platforms. It's called 1.4 or 1.13 or TU64, but either way, it's a very watery update, and lots of people have questions about that or life and the channel in general, and I wanted to answer all of those in one place, so this is Q&A Saturday. I hope you do all enjoy it. You can like this if you do like it, because it helps out the channel and lets know you do like this weekly opportunity to respond to subscribers about the important things people have been wondering, like this first question from Nomad, who says, why is iceberg generation different in Bedrock and Java? So to answer your question in a simple way, it's really weird that this update is going to be the same across all platforms for the most part, but the way it's being developed is not the same in all platforms. So on Bedrock and on Java, there's two separate teams that are both working on the same set of features, but they're not working, to make them in the exact same way. And that sounds kind of counterintuitive, because is it even the same update at that point? But as far as I can tell, they're normalizing and they're, making the update the same afterwards, but during the development process, they kind of make it on their own. And this is really interesting because it means it's kind of like internal competition between Minecraft Bedrock and Minecraft Java as to who will make the better version of a feature. So for instance, if you look at the kelp block, the kelp was made different on Bedrock and Java, and then the Bedrock one changed to match the Java edition one, and then sometimes it happened in reverse, like the water physics from the Bedrock came over to the to the Java, and so did the new watercolors and stuff like that. And it's really cool because it means that both teams are kind of gaining from working together, and I think that might be a part of why this is one of the biggest and best updates yet. So yeah, that's why it's different from platform to platform. I believe the intention is to have it be the same on all by the end. There might be some slight differences, but it's going to be like 99% at least the same update, which is a really interesting idea they haven't necessarily done before. So let's move to the next question, which comes in from OddFuture02, who says, Q&A, will you do another Minecon Earth viewing live stream like last year? So to answer your question, OddFuture02, I think I probably will, but I just don't want to promise it ahead of time. I thought the last time, we did the Minecon Earth viewing thing, it was a really cool opportunity. Again, they did these physical events, but they were in really hard to get to locations, so I thought it'd be cool to do my own one and hang out with all of you, and it worked. It was an interesting thing. You got to see live reactions or whatever, and then at the end we could have this kind of talk about what just happened. That's my favorite bit about watching events with friends, where it's just oh yeah, so what'd you think about this and that and stuff. And yeah, hopefully if the stream itself is good, then it'll be a good viewing live stream too. It's just, again, I don't want to properly commit to it yet until they've announced more about what's going on there and stuff like that, because yeah, probably gonna happen, just not gonna confirm it right now. But if you want to loosely plan it, then yeah, we'll be doing a viewing live stream, just probably, not definitely. So let's move to the third question, which comes in from Orca, who says, what is your experience with the real ocean? And to answer your question, I can't swim, so I drown. So let's move to the fourth question, which comes in from Blue Sea Viper, who says, do you think that since they have now added the trident and the turtle shell, they will add new utility weapons / armor in the future? So for the longest time, ever since the early days of Minecraft, I believe it was Notch's vision to keep the same 4 types of, sword, or 5 types of sword and armor, etc. in the game, and then not to add any more, because it didn't really make any sense. That wasn't, Notch's kind of goal for the game. But as we saw with the combat update when it first came out, they're not, they're down to play around with ideas to make combat more interesting in Minecraft, and I think adding the tridents to the game is definitely another key part of that. And again, adding the, turtle shell helmet, it's another interesting piece of thing. So I'd love to see, because again, most people think, oh, they should add a new set of armor that's better than diamond, but that just creates the same problem. That's not interesting. That's just having a better set of armor. But if you have more interesting sets of armor, so for instance, if you could make armor out of the Phantom into boots, and then you could run 5% faster, that changes PvP hugely. And yeah, this is the sort of stuff I think we definitely will see more of in the future to, add more content to Minecraft and make it, both compelling for single player and hopefully useful in some way for multiplayer. So we will start to see stuff like crossbows if you really want to. And, the big one that's never been done before is throwable explosives or arrow explosives. But we might start to see that sort of stuff as well, because again, I feel like they're trying not to just make a new sword, better sword, or even just new type of sword, for instance, but adding a new type of weapon that does new stuff is something we'll see. So again, something like portable explosives, or something like a crossbow, or something like even, a halberd that's, flavored in some way to make it good against some stuff. I think we'll start to see more and more stuff like that in the future, just based on all these sorts of reactions to 1.9, and assuming 1.13 goes down, well, you can probably expect to see that follow up too, because again, I really love the trident. I think the trident is one of the stars of this update, and I think that's going to be seen as a good sign for the future. But let's move to the next question, which comes in from Liger YT, who says, Q&A, so Kat, do you think Mojang regrets not adding mobs A, B, and D from Minecon Earth? So the first Minecon Earth, I guess we have to clarify now. But to answer your question, I think sort of, but not really. I think most of the regret comes from the community, because again, when Jeb came up with the ideas, they were mostly just ideas for mobs. He didn't have any real fleshed out, gameplay idea. I think because he didn't want to get attached to these ideas, that he then said, we're going to get rid of forever. But I think the community has huge regrets from it, because that huge blaze would have been a really cool Minecraft mob that we now don't get. The new underwater thing would have gone gone really well with this update. And I think most of the regrets come from the community, and I think maybe in like a year, Joe will be like, oh, the perfect thing for this next update would be a blaze that's giant, and oh, we have to say we're not doing that idea. So yeah, I'm gonna say they probably don't regret it now, and they probably won't regret it ever. It's mostly the community that regrets it, and I still do think they should never do something like that again, where they confirm they're never adding something, because it's just like, but it might be a good idea. If you're doing a never update in 1.14 or 1.15, it would be cool to have the giant blaze. But again, that's just my kind of take on things. I don't think they regret it too much though, Mr. Liker. But let's move on to the next question, which comes in from the cool kid, and you can tell they're cool because they're called the cool kid. And he says, Q&A, will fish be able to spawn in old worlds since there wouldn't be new ocean biomes? So this is the basic question of like, I want those new fish, but my world doesn't have new oceans because it's an old world. Can I get new fish? And the answer to that question is yes so far. So just bear in mind that your existing oceans transfer into the new ocean system as just a normal ocean, a neutral ocean. And although that's not, useful for, getting coral or for getting sand and stuff, there's a few things you can't do. The ocean's not quite as nice. You will still be able to get kelp, and you will still be able to get some types of fish. So yeah, if you want to go fishing in the physical, flesh with like a sword or whatever, you can do that. It's a cool thing, and it's a bit of a ridiculous thing, but it's something you can expect to do. So a lot of the new content will work in existing oceans, which is something that they haven't usually done before, and I think is a big plus. So let's move to the next question, which comes in from Shmi, who says, do you know how version numbers work? Because beta number versions are really high, and I have no idea why. So when it comes to the PC, the version numbers are, 1.12, 1.13, 1.14, etc. And then the snapshots are like, oh yeah, this is the year, this is the week, and this is the snapshot of that week. On the, console, it's just like next update called title update 62, and then title update 63, 64, etc. And on the Bedrock version, the normal updates make sense, 1.2, except sometimes they skip one, like 1.2 to 1.4, and then the beta numbers, as far as I can tell, this is the way they do them. So, you pick the number of the update before, so if it's the 1.4 snapshot, they'll, beta, I should say, they'll do 1.2 point, and then they'll pick a random number between 1 and 100, and then they'll pick another random number between 1 and 10, and they'll combine the two things together. So right now, we're on 1.2.20.1, and the update before that was 1.2.12.1. I think the update before that was 1.2.9.1, and if I had to, I assumed it used to be based on like, oh yeah, well, every version internally would be 1.2.10, 0.11, etc., but I can't imagine there was 7 internal versions between 1.2.12, so it has to just be they'll pick a number to kind of signify how far through the process they are, or maybe it is a random number just to throw us all up. But yeah, beta version numbers, I think they're super complex. I don't know if that's intentional, but it is next to impossible to follow, especially if you don't follow betas. But let's move to the next question, which comes in from Radar, or Mr. Radar Mash Ant, who says, what biome-based update do you think is most unlikely? So I've had a bunch of questions about what do you think the next biome-based update will be, but the most unlikely one, I think, is a somewhat easy question, because easy answer would be like, oh, the end, because they updated in 1.9, but I think the even easier answer would be like, think about the plains biome. What can you do to update the plains biome to make it more exciting? It kind of needs to be that default safe Minecraft space where it's just like, oh yeah, this is the same thing, this is that Minecraft feeling you've wanted for a long time. Like, what could you even do with them? Like, they have already a bunch of structures, they have already a bunch of like, things to do there. It's already a flat biome that you go to quite a bit. What could you do to make that more exciting? Make it more flat? That's not more exciting. That's like changing one number in the train generation, adding more mobs to it. I mean, it's not really necessary, is it? Like, you need mobs for other biomes first. So yeah, biome-based update, that's most unlikely. The plains biome. Now, if they call, 1.15 the plains update or something like that, then I'll pledge to eat a pair of socks or something, so because it's that like, so it's so unlikely, because it'd be the biggest bummer of an update, like, oh, some planes are a bit more plain now. But let's move to the next question, which comes in from VIP Man YT, who says, if you could add one feature to the update Aquatic, what would it be and why? So personally, I think I'd like to see a brand new boss mob. It's been quite some time since we had a real boss challenge, and I really like the challenges of being like, because Minecraft is all about setting your own challenges, but sometimes I like the game being like, and here's a big one for you. If you can do this, you'll get a beacon, for instance. Again, and although right now we have like the Nautilus shells and the Heart of the Seas to be collecting, it's a fun little game that gets you those, like the conduits, which is really nice. But I think we need a further kind of like a better end game piece of content. And personally, I think a super rare mob in the sea, or like, something you could find in caves, or like just something really rare or something really hard would be nice in this update. I know the reason they don't do it is because, again, they're playing on so many platforms, it just doesn't doesn't really make sense at this point, or maybe they just don't have ideas, but I really would love to see some form of brand new boss or something like that. So yeah, that's my opinion of the IP Man YT. But let's move on to the last question, which comes in from Blue World, who asks, do you like your YouTube audience? So obviously most YouTubers just go, yeah, I love you so much, especially when you like the video and when you share it and when you subscribe and when you buy my merch. But I think I want to answer this one like legitimately, because it's not quite as simple as yes. It's like, I think I like my YouTube audience, most of the people, most of the time. I don't think I like so here's the thing, like YouTube culture as a whole is getting more and more toxic as time goes on. Like, you know, YouTube as a site, they're so focused on like these random retention things and trying to get like music videos and like, yeah, you know, like talk shows onto the trending page or the homepage. They're trying to, you know, focus your attention onto like weird things, and they don't seem to realize that there needs to be like a YouTube community of some form. Like, you know, there are a bunch of people like myself, like presumably you if you've made it this far into the video, that like watching YouTube, and I don't think they know or don't care or don't understand that it's not necessarily about the A/B testing. It's about like, oh yeah, there should be a clear way to like subscribe to someone and then have an interaction with them. Whereas right now it's like it's not necessarily in the same place. And then YouTube comments, they've been known as being terrible for so long, and it's kind of an effect where like if you see there's just a whole of YouTube comments, you don't leave a good one, and it makes a really bad thing. So sometimes I read the comments and I'm like, why did I just do that? But yeah, I think overall I like my YouTube audience because out of, you know, like I watch other YouTubers and read their comments, and it's like, oh my god, this is so much worse. So I think I think the people who watch the videos and like comment on my videos are actually some of the coolest on YouTube when it comes to like, you know, not being jerks to each other generally, and actually, you know, like constructive comments and like actually having like a conversation about it. Whereas a lot of other YouTube channels are just like messes of, you know, like basically my point here is I like my YouTube audience for the most part. I feel like a lot of the things that I don't like it drives me insane when people recommend me ideas that I've done literally that week. Like, I can kind of understand if it's 3 years old and you haven't watched my whole back catalogue yet, or whatever the reason is, that's fine. Like, you know, it takes time to watch all these thousands of videos. But if you're, you know, if it's literally 2 days ago and you just missed it and you're like, oh, that'd be a cool idea, it's the same feeling as when, you know, like you say a joke and then no one hears it, and then someone else says the joke and everyone laughs, and you have to be like, no, wait, those are my laughs here, or something like that. It's a similar feeling where it's like, no, I've done that. You need to see that video somehow. I wish I could show that to you, but you know, again, it's kind of out of my control there. So yeah, what do I like about my YouTube audience? I think generally speaking, it's like one of the most mature audiences. I think there is a lot of people who are like, you know, hardcore, you know, into it, and therefore like, oh yeah, well, they know that I'm into this or that, and they can make recommendations on that, or they, you know, even just like, you know, being there in live streams and like seeing regulars. I love seeing that personally, but I don't like that, like, you know, every now and then someone shows up who like clearly wants to watch the videos but just thinks I upload once a week or something, and it's like, ah. So yeah, there you go. That's my opinion on my YouTube audience. I think YouTube is pretty toxic, and I think we got one of the better communities, but there's still a little bit of it in there, because again, if you see elsewhere that like, oh, YouTube comments are that place where you go and yell at people or whatever else the case may be, then it's a little bit ridiculous. But anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, because it's Q&A Saturday, which means any questions down there I'll be answering next week. So yeah, just as a heads up, I recorded this a little bit ahead of time, and also I might be doing just like responding to every single Q&A Saturday question in the comments. I don't know for certain. It's like maybe a good idea, maybe a bad idea. But thank you so much to everyone who is contributing to making the YouTube comment section a better place on this channel. Thank you to everyone who has, been subscribed and has, like, you know, been a regular for so long, because I do actually recognize the majority of people who, you know, comment a lot or are on live streams a lot, or a combination of the both. And, you know, you might even spot a lot of people who like shopping Q&A Saturday every now and then. And it's something I just wanted to say thank you for. So, hope you all enjoyed the video, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.